Attention on this channel. We've got an important message. All observations and opinions shared here are for educational purposes only. This content is intended for adults. Viewer discretion is advised. Be advised that any individuals mentioned are not intended to suggest involvement in any crime. Case by case, got the fire. Ha! Come on, Yo, you wanna talk about true crime? We start with the data flows. Digital footprints meet criminal defense, that's how the story goes. This channel's all about online evidence, the stuff they overlook. From live stream chats to deleted posts, it's all in the true crime book. My goal is to provide insight for the attorney in the darkest hour, to find the proof that can make a case or break a criminal's power. So whether you're a lawyer or a PI, we're diving deep in the mess, exposing misconduct and hidden truths to get to the very best leads. We break it down case by case, on the trail of the facts. We show how digital evidence changes case outcomes, we on their tracks. No rumors, no gossip, just the evidence clear and concise, shining a light on the shadows at any cost or price. What do we do? Case by case. What's the motto? We're here for the victims, the ones who were left behind. We're here for the families, giving them peace of mind. We follow the paper trail, the digital footprints and the timelines, connecting the dots, we're reading between the lines. We don't just talk theory, we show you how it works in practice. We're here to help you stay ahead of the curve, to get a new analysis. You think you're in charge, but we're here to find what matters most. We're giving a voice to the voiceless, like a digital ghost. Digital ghost, digital ghost. We break it down case by case, on the trail of the facts. We show how digital evidence changes case outcomes, we on their tracks. No rumors, no gossip, just the evidence clear and concise, shining a light on the shadows at any cost or price. What do we do? Case by case. What's the motto? From digital clues. The mystery, you wanna know the answers? We're dedicated to the chase, from the first look at the scene to the final resting place. We're here to find the answers, to give the victims their due. A true crime channel with a heart and a purpose too. We're here to build up, to expose the truth, and to shine a light on the darkest of deeds with all our might. We're here for the truth, we're here for the facts, and that's it. We don't chase the trends, we just chase the truth and never quit. We let the past speak for itself, we let the facts lay the ground. We're just here to be a voice, a tribute that is sound. Yeah, it's all for the truth. All for the truth. Ha! Come on, come on. Let's go. Their thoughts for you, yeah. Won't kiss the ring. Yeah. Ha. Come on. Let's go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Case by Case. Happy Saturday. Let me take these comments off. There we go. Well, maybe not. I'm joined today by Great Lakes Fungi. Where's she at? She's been added to the stage, but I can't see her. Let's see. Where'd she go? There she is. Hey, girl.
Hey.
What's up?
Not much. I got here just in time, so
You sure did.
I gotta open up the chat. So if you guys are talking or you have questions, throw them at me while Amy is talking or whatever, and I'll get them to her. But yeah, other than that.
Yeah. Well, welcome to part 3 of Transparency. This is kind of the final finale of us going over all of the information that was provided to us by Patrick Westfall's ex-wife. And there's been a lot of flack that's, whoa, hold on. Oh, no. hold on. I got to plug my laptop in. Sorry.
He has to delete system 32.
Huh?
She has to delete system 32.
Who's that?
Never mind.
Yeah, you said delete system
You look so
32.
much younger than you are, and I forget that you don't get certain jokes.
I don't get certain jokes. Sorry. I just have to make sure this is plugged in. I had my laptop downstairs the other day. Okay, it's plugged in. Okay. So, anywho, welcome to Case by Case. This is part 3 of transparency. We're going to go over a lot of different things today. And hey, hello, Under Your Scars. Welcome in, mods. Welcome in, subscribers. If you think you're subscribed, you better check, because I've been getting a lot of notifications that people are getting notifications from YouTube when I go live. I want to apologize for the fact that YouTube kept my vault stream up last Monday. I apparently, on my end, it shows it's deleted. I can only delete it in so many areas. I delete it on YouTube, I deleted it in YouTube Studios, and I delete it in StreamYard. And for whatever reason, the link stays up. So I think Fungi said that there was a lot of people waiting in chat for a live stream that wasn't going to happen. And
got blown up. And I'm presuming
sorry.
you got
I'm
blown
so
up.
sorry.
No, it was hilarious because I was like, I called you once, and then what happens, like, I don't know how long it took, but you know, a little while later, she's like, I fell asleep with the baby.
Yeah, well, I was
like,
initially on the phone. Initially, I was on the phone. Let me correct everything. I was initially on the phone, and for those of you who don't know what my schedule is like, it's hectic with my big girl job and then the channel. So I have an interview coming up that I hope will be very fruitful for the Delphi case. It is with an individual who has reached out to somebody connected to the channel that is, I don't even know how to portray it, but she has a son. I'm just going to say it. She has a son that is a VIN lender, and she has a story to tell, and she wants to tell it. So I'm going to attempt to make that possible. On top of that, we have a whole new witness. I don't want to say new witness. I'm going to say a witness that back in 2017 made himself very relevant, but nobody stepped up and did anything with the information. So we are going to review that, and that has a little bit to do with Sunset Point. That's another issue that I've been dealing with, along with trying to expand the channel. So I know a lot of you keep posting just so all of you who are here now understand, Terry is a contributor on the channel, and I have shared with her access, and her and I are working together because I work through the week, Tuesday through Thursday. And I'm limited on what I can do on the channel during that time through just availability. Availability means I don't have access. But Terry is doing a lot of court filing readings and some, basis of historical case information on different
really
lost.
Good. It's really good stuff, guys.
She is lost, missing, unsolved. But the one thing that I do going forward that I really want to do is I want to deep dive the Gilgo Beach murders. And I know that they have a suspect who's been arrested, but I have a really gut feeling that he's not responsible for all of the bodies that have been found. And I've already started creating a Gilgo Beach map on Google Earth. I have started, I followed the case a little bit, but nothing close to what it takes to deep dive it, which I have now in the past like 3 weeks started. So if you see Gilgo Beach thumbnails on here, please show up, because I'm telling you right now, the Gilgo Beach murders are very consistent with what we're dealing with Delphi. Not in the sense that we have an innocent suspect, because I truly believe that Rex Heuermann is guilty of certain crimes. However, the poor investigation, the lack of investigation, the bungling of the investigation, the political corruption, and the covering up, and certain suspects in the case getting certain privileges, you're going to find it very interesting. Not to mention, I do believe that we are going to uncover a hell of a lot more victims than what we already have, which I think the total count right now is, I think it's 11. But I am mapping this out. I am going to deep dive it, along with staying up to date with Delphi. I have separated my PayPal account from all of my other accounts, so that my PayPal account is now going to be used for simply travel. I'm anticipating there's going to be hearings during this direct appeal that's being filed in Rick Allen's case. I would love to attend. I have to take off work. I have to book either a hotel or an Airbnb, and I have to be able to eat while I'm there. So the PayPal account is set up for that. I'm going to do everything in my power to be there for anything that's coming in the future. That way you have case by case, direct written notes from what's happening in the courthouse in Carroll County, or wherever, whatever hearing is held, I'm going to be there. I'm just double checking chat here really quick. Oh, Mandy, I'm so sorry that you were worried. I was on the phone and I was like multitasking, and I had my grandson here. He was asleep. I had timed it to where he would fall asleep while I went live, but then I got on the phone and I got sidetracked. I was texting back and forth with Fungi, and we weren't kind of like on the same page. And I was like, shit. I need to put this off, because there's things, the loose ends concept of the Delphi Vault 28. There was some things that I wanted to add to it. I didn't have enough time. And then the baby woke up while I was on the phone. And so I was trying to console him, and I lay down with him, and that was all she wrote. So I'm sorry if I worried.
It was my fault. She can blame me.
No, I'm not blaming you at all, girl.
No, I woke up the baby. Because you were laughing or something, probably.
No, you didn't. He's a nighttime sleeper. So during the day, he's like hit or miss. Like if you think you keep him up all morning,
most of us are.
He's like 1 or 2 o'clock. You want to lay him down. He was like, yeah, I'm tired. And then he sleeps for 30 minutes and he's like, hi. And he wants picked up and he wants spoiled. He's oh my God, he's my favorite. He's so cute. Hey, Cherie. Okay, so back to the task at hand. So if you haven't hit the like and subscribe, please do. We need to get to 5,000 on this channel sooner than later. So please make sure that you like, subscribe, and share. That's all free. It helps the channel and it helps me continue to do this work because this work is extensive.
We hit 5,000. I will have something fun.
Yes,
I have an
we'll
idea
do
of what it
some
is.
sort of a members only party live. Okay,
Or yes, that's.
Hey, Free Ricky Bay. Okay, so what we're going to start off today, because today I'm hoping this is going to be this is part 3 of transparency, me being completely transparent with everybody, even though there are some people out there who feel I shouldn't be. I'm going to be. This information that I'm going to provide to you, along with the last, well, first I did the underground part 2. That was the start of it. And then shit went crazy, where the information that I had, the source wanted to basically backtrack, and I wasn't going to allow her to do that. So then I came out with Transparency 1. Then I followed that up with Transparency 2. And now we are doing Transparency 3, where we are going to go over all of the insight from Patrick Westfall's ex-wife. And we're first going to, yes, in order. Yes. And they're in order thanks to All Eyes, who you submitted them to, Fungi, and she got them all organized for me, which I'm grateful. I did have them all organized. However, in between streams, trying to cram 2 streams in the same day, I wasn't able to get them all saved and in line. But in the past week, All Eyes has done that for me, so I'm so grateful. But
All
we're
Eyes
going
is amazing. Special shout out to All Eyes. I know everyone shouts her out, but special shout out to her. She cares. She really does. You can just kind of tell.
Yes. So we're going to start off today talking about the Indiana criminal law and how it specifically relates to the Delphi case discussions of a nexus. And a nexus in Indiana has a very particular meaning that's often misunderstood or misused. And what is a nexus in plain English? A nexus is a demonstrable connection between a person, suspect, or third party, and the specific crime, which in this case would be the murders of Abby Williams and Liberty German. It is not about vibes, rumors, bad character, or unrelated criminal behavior. In Indiana, a nexus must show how and why a person could realistically be tied to the crime itself. So with that being said, does everybody in chat grasp that concept? So we're not going to go off the deep end. We're not going to make up things. We're simply stating what the Indiana law's description is of a nexus. So everyone says, yep. Okay. So this is not based on vibes, rumors, bad character, or unrelated criminal behavior. So let's start here before we get into the ex-wife's offered up information about Patrick Westfall. So a true nexus involves fact-based links such as presence or proximity, being at or near the crime scene at the relevant time, travel records, phone data, witnesses, surveillance. So bump over here to the right-hand side in the box. Here are some of the fact-based links that could link Patrick Westfall and others, which is he lived in Delphi. He knew the woods. He practiced Asatru and was familiar with runes. And we know now that law enforcement was investigating this angle the very week the girls' bodies were found. He had ties to the Sandefers, which was the Sandefers were where the camera was located that captured the white van. But we know now that Patrick Westfall served military time with a Sandeford, and that same Sandeford had ties with Ron Logan.
Oh,
he was
and he was staying at a property that was not very far from Ron Logan's place, aka the scene.
Well, according to Reese Davis, he was with the Sandeford was within walking distance of Ron Logan.
Yeah.
Patrick Westfall showed up for an interview with an erased phone, which he had replaced it after the murders. The other thing that could tie him to these murders are the AT&T cell phone pings and his possible interest in child sexual materials on the internet. His means. Did he have access to a weapon or method consistent with the crime? Knowledge of the two. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Access to a weapon or method consistent with the crime. Knowledge of the terrain, trails, or location. Checkbox 1. Yes. And he posted images with them, meaning his weapons. Checkbox 2. Yes, he could access the trail from the Delphi home that he lived in. He was familiar with the trails all the way out to Sunset Point, where he got married. Sunset Point is approximately 1 mile from the south end of the Monon High Bridge. The opportunity, unaccounted for time during the murder window, ability to be on scene without detection. Well, Jerry Holman said he could not put him in Delphi during the crime when he testified at trial. However, in Jerry Holman's earlier statements, he said Westfall was at home in Delphi, which is a complete contradictory to his initial statements. Then, in Brad Holder's deposition, Brad Holder claims that he reached out to Patrick Westfall during the initial search when the girls were missing to inform Patrick Westfall of the circumstances and asked him if he had heard anything. And Patrick Westfall, according to Brad Holder, in Brad Holder's deposition, stated Patrick Westfall said he was out of town. He hadn't heard anything. So which is it? Jerry Holman couldn't put him in Delphi, or Jerry Holman put him in Delphi at his property, but Patrick Westfall felt the need to lie to Brad Holder about his location being out of town. So the opportunity here, unaccounted for time during the murder window, ability to be on scene without detection. We have a lot of nefarious statements here between law enforcement and possibly a co-conspirator of Patrick Westfall. Behavior after the crime: admissions, confessions, incriminating statements, attempts to conceal evidence, sudden behavioral changes tied to the crime date. Well, this also ties in to opportunity above. His location changed depending on who you were talking to. When he showed up to be interviewed, he showed up with an erased phone. He had massive denial of knowing or having close connections to certain people, i.e., example, Elvis Fields. Ultimately stopped talking to law enforcement and then turned around and he downplayed his bad character during public interviews. And he lied about interaction with Anna Williams. All of that came out during Jerry Holman's deposition, Brad Holder's deposition, and Anna Williams' deposition and throughout the course of Patrick Westfall doing public interviews on Sleuth Intuition's channel. Specific motive tied to these victims. What were the motives? I have a big question mark here because we're not really sure what the motive would be, but I'm going to toss up some options. One being, is he connected to Flora? Is he willing to kill to get patched into the Vinlanders? And he knew the girls. That's his connection to the circumstances of the Delphi case. He knew of the girls. But there's still other things that I feel together we can come up with as to what his specific motive and ties would be to the victims. Is that race-based? Him being racist? I think I left that off. But that, I mean, according to his own statements and according to others involved in the case, like Amber Holder, who said Patrick Westfall did this because Abby Williams' mother was a race traitor. I mean, the sky's the limit. But I feel if we look at all of these items that check the box, we have more items checked under a nexus than need be to prove a nexus in this case. Yet, the third-party suspect was denied as a defense for Rick Allen. Fungi?
Yes.
What do you think about all that?
I think there's a lot of check marks. I think some of them can't be necessarily, I don't know, like, I think some of them aren't necessarily attributed directly to Patrick Westfall. It's more about the people he associated with.
Which ones? Which ones?
Specifically the, sorry, it's one that you said. Sorry, it was when you were talking. I noted it. Oh, fudge. One sec, my screen went weird. Because of course, can't have nice things. Yeah, there we go. Could you it was AT&T self pings. I think one is not super accurate because it's like a 2,500 meter radius around that cell tower.
It's 1,500 feet radius, and
no, it's 25 is what 100.
No, I think it's 1,500.
Either way, that's quite a bit.
Well,
were these his cell phone things?
Well, the cell phone,
or the girls, right? Or the girl's cell phone.
It's Libby's phone. And I'm just saying that can be construed as part of the nexus, but I believe it was 1,500, and even if it was 2,500, either or. Why would so when we're dealing with the AT&T pings, why do we believe that they are completely accurate with everything up until 2:32? And then after 2:32, when the state claims the girls were already killed, it's not just the cell phone is jumping all over the place and pinging all over town, which is not my statement. That is Mike Patty and law enforcement statement. But you have pings for a 3-hour period within 50 meters of Patrick Westfall's house. Now, 2,500 meters. What do you think is going to be more accurate? That the phone is located under a dead body, next to 50 feet from the creek bank, or it's going to resonate for 3 hours right next door to the Wells Tower.
Well,
Because
it's not necessarily right next door. It's like a radius of, if it's 2,500 meters, then it's 1.5 miles of radius, which is encompassing the area around the trails. So I just like that's always been a thing for me. It's like, it's not necessarily the smoking gun
no, it's not a
that
smoking gun, but it needs to be explained.
it needs. Yeah, it does need to be explained. But I think it can be explained because I think that, well, or at least, okay. So I like to play devil's advocate. I think naysayers could easily say the trails and the place where the bodies were, and where the cell phone was supposed to be, is within that radius of 2,500 meters.
Well, you could say the same thing for Ron Logan's cell phone pings. I mean,
No, because
he's getting,
Ron Logan's, he's connecting to Wi-Fi, so his are much, much, much more accurate.
that's what I don't understand is if Ron Logan is on the bridge at 2:08 and how is his cell phone connecting to Wi-Fi, but yet Libby's phone is
But I think
closer
that
to
we got
Logan's.
that information from an actual call or something. I think, if I recall, there was.
No. Yeah, but how many calls were coming into Libby's phone?
But
There
she
were
never answered.
It doesn't matter for the phone call to be received. I would think that it would have to access cell tower network for the phone call to come through, for there to be a record of it, which would then triangulate where her phone is. That's where I'm confused. Why
Yeah.
this whole murky area of from 2:32 until 4:30 something in the morning, it's all murky and it's all questionable, but everything leading up to that isn't. That's where I get frustrated. And the fact that the same phone networking is being done, because I'm not sure that we know Ron Logan answered a phone call. We know that he received a text message. We don't
He had
have
an outgoing one too.
We don't know that he read the text message, but we do know that the text message came in, which means it had to have accessed cell phone tower to get to his phone. And then we have 3 hours of cell phone pings by AT&T. And I agree, there is a proximity of area of error. But
To me, it's like, okay, how much is this narrowing shit down if like all of our prime suspects are actually in this radius? So for me, that's what that mostly is.
mm-hmm. Yes,
I understand where you're coming from.
Libby's cell phone did have voicemail set up. Some things went to voicemail. There were
Right,
phone
there were a
calls.
few voicemails left, I believe.
Huh?
I think there was. I think I read there was at least like 1 or 2 voicemails left.
There were several.
Yeah.
There were several. There was FaceTime calls. There were text messages. There were emails. There were SMSs. I just feel the amount of activity on her phone would have required. I mean, you've got these two girls out here on the Monon High Bridge, which is X
And
amount
using
of feet
data,
high,
obviously.
out in the middle of nowhere. And we are supposed to be convinced that when the video starts, regardless to what information you believe, because we were told that it originated from the Delphi High School, but there's information within all of the different reports that it originated somewhere else. Then it bounced off the Delphi High School. Then it bounced back to the south end of the bridge. Okay, that took a very small amount of time for that cell phone location to triangulate. So why after the video are we having such a hard time believing where the cell phone is triangulating at when there is 10 times more activity on the phone via SMS, text messages, FaceTime calls, voicemails coming in one right after the other. I would think that where the cell phone tower has the phone designated on the map would be more realistic than one thing happening or 3 things happening within 1 hour versus 30 things happening within the next couple of hours. I would think that the cell phone tower information would be more reliable. That's just me.
Yeah, it's really hard because of the limited number of cell phones in the area, or cell phone towers in the area. It's just
It's just the one cell phone tower, which to me makes
but you need 3 to triangulate in an accurate sense. So when you have one, it's basically just a needle in a haystack.
Okay, well, one cell phone tower didn't seem to matter when the phone was triangulating to the south end of the bridge after it was bouncing off of the Delphi High School. Like, that's what I'm saying.
She might have had, I think she oh no, that's a really good point, but I think it might have been because there was she was accessing an app or some sort of, like, 'cause we know that she uploaded something to the you know that she was using the camera at least. So maybe in the camera that function, or the camera had that prompt for that data.
Well, she was definitely, so according to the Bunner report and Cecil report, she was definitely accessing Snapchat. However, their reports do not list every single Snapchat event that transpired between 2:51 and 2:13.
However, I think that it's important to note there is a pattern of whenever she is in Snapchat, and even when she's like not presumably, I guess, even when she's not presumably like taking shows that she's not taking pictures, but we know that she was at some points. It does have there's a lot of there's the GPS coordinates pop up where basically the phone fetches GPS coordinates. This always happens in conjunction with she has just used Snapchat. And while we don't have the messages, we don't have the information in there, it's a lot of the time it's literally connected. It's tied to those two things. I think I emailed you that like a long time ago, but I thought that was interesting.
And there's the fact that there are certain Snapchat events that are left off, but even the ones that we do have, we have a Snapchat event, and we can presume a photo was uploaded. But for example, the 207 photo of Abby on the bridge is nowhere to be found.
The 207 photo aside, though, is all I'm saying. Like, I think every time we know she actually did take a photo in other cases, like in all the other examples, we know that it then subsequently uploaded it to Snapchat. We know that that fetched coordinates. So I was thinking that was probably tied to that.
To a degree, because we have them in the car. We have them in the car at 1:44. And then the next geolocation that we have for them is at 2:51. And they are stagnant on the trail at 2:51. And they are still in this, according to the phone data, they are still in the same spot on the trail at I believe it's at 2:05 and 8 seconds, in the same spot, which is midway between the Mears lot and the Monon High Bridge. And then 2 seconds later, we have Libby's photo of the empty Monon High Bridge uploaded to Snapchat. So we know that it didn't take them 2 seconds to get from Midway to the Monon High Bridge. So Quester, we're going to talk about this tomorrow, and
I can't wait for Quester because he's going to know a lot more than I will.
So tomorrow, the vault is being moved to Sundays temporarily until my work schedule straightens out until after the holidays. So the vault episode 28 will be tomorrow at 1:00 with the loose ends. And he has a theory on how that could be.
It's
But
software?
we do have, there are approximately in the phone data, the actual phone data, there are approximately 5 Snapchat events that are not listed in the Bunner or the Cecil report that happen between 2:51 and 2:13. And this is where we feel certain photographs may have been uploaded and we don't know what happened to them. We don't know where they are.
That's
But we
just
do.
the special, like that little period of time, guys, is the biggest question mark in this case. Like you figure out what happens then, you figure out the case, in my opinion.
So and for me, all of until we figure out the accuracy of who says what about these missing events, about missing photographs, we are left with one thing, and that is that Kay Weber states that the FBI flew all the way out to Arizona to question her, and they showed her a photograph of a man on the bridge and wanted her to identify him. And her response was, "How can I identify him when his face is covered?" We have not been able to pin her down on, was this the same photo that the public was shown of the BG that was extracted from Libby's video, or was this an actual photograph from somewhere else or a trail cam? She doesn't seem to want to answer it. But if you remember, back in the very early beginnings of this case, they were interested in people's, what are they called? Baklavas?
Balaclava.
Baklavas, the half-face mask.
Balaclava.
Yeah. So
My people. It's the word of my people. I have to.
So that really leaves the door open to speculate. And then I'm sorry, but I have a hard time believing, especially after being there, and knowing how the property was treated back in 2017, how it was treated after 2017 with Brad Weber, holding certain people at gunpoint because they were on his property. When someone goes out of town,
reasonable.
Why would you not make sure that your webcam or your trail cams, your security cameras of your property aren't working? And I do have, which I have not going to pull it up now, but if you should go back and review from episode 1 forward, the vault. There are screenshots of Kay Weber discussing on social media how she had a camera attached to a shed that angled down towards the creek and the crime scene. That I believe she claimed was working on February 13th, and it captured nothing.
Where was the shed?
The shed was on her property. It was along the edge of the private drive.
Okay, yeah.
And
there's an image.
There's an image from that camera that literally is a wide landscape picture of the creek, and where there's no way that the girls, and I don't believe there's any way the girls and the BG could have crossed the creek and not have been captured in that view. And she said that it captured nothing.
When you can, after the stream, send me that picture. I'll remind you.
Okay, I'll have to dig it out. So that leaves, so if they don't cross the creek, where do they go? Do they go southeast along the creek line on the same side as the Monon High Bridge to wherever? And we know now that traveling in that direction would be the direction of Sunset Point. It would be the direction of Tyler Joe French's stepdad's property.
Wait,
Or
no, those are opposite directions.
no. I believe they're the same.
I'm pretty sure those are opposite directions.
Or they went back underneath the Monon High Bridge out towards the Liebert property. Either way, they could have traveled in a vehicle. There's no place. If they would have traveled in a vehicle on the private drive toward Brad Weber's house, they would have had to have taken a back road that we're not aware of.
Well, there is in an email that I'm not sure if you were CC'd in this, but Quester and I were discussing some of the LiDAR images that I was looking at, and in the one that McCain Ford used to pass through, too, had a old road that went right down to the Liebert property. It was kind of like in a gully, and he was like, you would never have guessed that there would have been a road there.
But from there, they would have still had, where would they have gone from there?
Maybe they, I don't know, maybe, yes, I do. I found LiDAR images. I will share them in the future.
Yeah,
I have.
We're gonna share them. We're gonna share them tomorrow.
Yes, if my husband can figure out something. He's currently.
But the other direction does take you towards. I'm still mapping it out. I have it's convoluted, but there's ways to get out of that area that doesn't require you to cross the creek. And I am, like, to be honest, I'm still a firm believer that Ron Logan's property was used.
Anna Lissette has a great question here. Is it okay if I interject?
Yeah.
I think this is right on cue. If a vehicle was involved, if they didn't cross the creek, what would have been the purpose of finishing the crime, the abduction, at the crime scene on Ron Logan's property?
So that is a fantastic question. And that goes back to number one, who would have gained from Ron Logan being accused of committing these crimes? In the sense of being a target that someone wanted his property. And if you do the research, you will realize that when Ron Logan became a suspect in this case, the girls had been left on the very outskirts of his property. Prior to the crime, there was a major push for Ron Logan to sell his 40 acres of land to the trail system. And there are two people who were ahead, who were in charge of that push, who were also there that day, which are the McCain brothers.
And we are not accusing them. Please, can I just say that we are not accusing them. C-Screw said there was evidence, and I'd like to address this one. There was evidence of undressing under the bridge at the first trestle. Abby's shoes had creek silt in them. They crossed the creek. The clothes were sent to be dried out. Like, okay, so here's the thing. So how does the phone stay dry, or in this scenario, sorry, I wrote this down. I want to make sure I get it right. if your goal, if you're Rich Allen and your goal is to molest them, let's just say, let's pretend that Rich Allen is guilty and that we're with the state and we're trying to prove it. Let's pretend. And so if you get startled and in the middle of this and your first instinct is, all right, girls, undress underneath the bridge at the first trestle, where this guy is literally driving with his van. How does that make sense? One. But two, why would you then proceed to march them down to a secluded area enough that he can kill them, but can't he can't molest them at that point. Like to me that doesn't make sense. Like it's okay, it's secluded enough, it's to kill them in this horrible way. And there's two of them. One of them would have screamed no matter what, because at that point, even if a gun's trained on you, your two options are, I'm gonna die by a knife or I'm gonna die by this gun. And I would sure as hell take the chances with that gun being shot, because then someone's gonna run over there.
Well, to go even further, if you go back to the trial and the trial testimony, not one crime scene investigator described the girls as, well, at least Abby's, because Libby was undressed, but not one of them described Abby's clothes as being wet. They had to be poked and prodded about that aspect, and they said, well, they could have been damp. And that's an experiment that we really need to do, is to go out, find a night where
the weather turned way too quickly here. I was meaning to do it. But the other thing that I want to point out is that there are jeans, cotton in particular, which jeans are made of. It would have absorbed the water very effectively, and so there would be very, very noticeable lines of pooling on the underside of them where all the water had drained. There have been noticeable lines of pooling of water on these jeans, on all of the things, on all of their clothing. And quite frankly, I just don't see that. It's granted, shitty quality pictures, but I feel like that would have been pointed out if it was very apparent. And I can explain a little bit of that happening away by saying, okay, it was moisture from the ground. But I can't explain the fact that, one, we don't see any, we just don't see any lines like on their clothing.
And that was a question that they were specifically asked during trial. Was there wet lines, at the waist level?
There were not, yeah.
And there was not. And
those clothes were off, or they never crossed the creek, in my opinion.
And I'm not going to voice an opinion after being there, specifically on the hill down the hill. We weren't able to get as far as going down the second hill, which I wish we would have, to where I could have described that, because that second hill at this point in time, this is not 2017. I was just there in October. I can't imagine from 2017 till now. I don't know the range or footage of, what's the word that I'm looking for? Fungi, of degradation of the landscape, to where elevation. I feel like the second hill was straight down to me. Now, I know that in 2017, there was some sort of a path that could get you down that area, but it would have to be a well-known path. But I don't even know if you went down that second hill in 2017, at the very bottom of it, if you would have ever even seen a white van traveling up above you on the private drive, for that to even be a thing.
Well, I was watching your video and it looked like, you can see the bridge from a certain extent, but the van sort of has a vantage point from.
No, I'm talking about I'm talking about if the girls I'm talking about the state's case that Rick Allen was startled by the white van and then forced the girls across the creek.
That's what I'm saying. I think the van would have the vantage point over where the bridge is, or where the girls would have been.
When you come through underneath the bridge, you're like at this point in time in 2025, you are literally on a cliff. That private drive curving underneath the Monon High Bridge you are on a cliff. If you were to go down the second hill, it's a straight down drop off at this point in time. I don't know what it was like in 2017. I can't imagine that it would be so sloped that you would be standing at the bottom of that second hill and look up and be able to see the white van coming.
If anything, it would have been less steep back then, because now you have extra added foot traffic from, this crime and investigating, and just over time you have more water. These things, they don't undo themselves necessarily. It's gonna be very, very apparent if it gets flatter. It will be very, very apparent that there was like a landslide above or something like that. So if anything,
true crime addicted. She says with erosion over time, wouldn't the steep hill you saw possibly have been even steeper back in 2017? No, it would really be the opposite. The erosion would make the hill steeper. Like the erosion would have cut away that hill and made it more of a straight shot down than what it appears to be now. And I don't know. I'm not a geologist. I don't know.
Yeah, but this is what I saw when I was living in around a river just like this. Like literally from year to year, you would have entire parts of the riverbank that would just collapse, and it was super apparent, like super obvious. In this area, yeah, no, yeah, it's the same thought. I think that we just might have gotten a little mixed up, so no worries. Yeah, and so as far as clothes drying outside overnight in February, they freeze. It did not get down to freezing, so it would not have occurred like that. However, the lack of sunlight in that area, there's a lot of other stuff. Like the lack of sunlight, the elevation that they were in, there's a lot of other stuff that would have basically limited or made it not as likely for those clothes to dry out as quickly, especially given that there's if you think about the terrain, well, the sun's, how the sun sets and rises, it's kind of a little bit enclosed in that area, so it wouldn't have been as likely.
Okay, so let me throw this out there. Let's just hypothetically say this was Rick Allen, okay, and this was a complete crime of opportunity, and something went off in his brain that day that he was just going to go out here and find the first girl or girls that he could abuse, okay. If this is Rick Allen on the south end of the bridge and he's forcing the girls down, I personally believe, based on the area and being there, that your game plan would only be to get control of the girls. It wouldn't be necessarily an escape route or where to go next. And to me, going down that first hill to get to the private drive, you have an easy, accessible route, left or right. To me, left, going back underneath the bridge, you have a whole area to the left underneath the bridge to hide, or to be in a exclusive area where no one can see you, or you go off the right-hand side of the private drive down a slope towards the creek in a another area that's exclusive. To me, it wouldn't be taking a nosedive off the other side of the private drive, down that slope, and crossing the creek.
There was really only one place they could have even gotten to the creek. And because of it, we know that they don't have any any like stains on their like jeans that are noticeable from slipping or even just
well,
like
see,
down.
that's the thing. When you look at the crime scene, the leaked crime scene photos, and then you listen to the Indiana State Police lab technician who did all the DNA testing, and she describes the dirt. To me, that does show that the girls slid down one or two hills possibly, but I'm not a firm believer that it's go down the hill and then go down the second hill. It is possible that the girls, I believe, were taken away. And when you listen to the audio of the BG video that Libby took, you hear sounds, and I'm sorry, but I know that there's 300 North on one end, and then there's the Hoosier Harvest Highway on the northern end of the bridge, further way up. Neither one of those locations are close enough to capture the loud sounding vehicle noise that you hear in that audio. It's more so of like a four-wheeler or a vehicle that is waiting down below to take them somewhere. That's just my opinion. And I just feel like all of these things that we're talking about, I'm not saying I'm right, I'm not saying you're right, Fungi. All I'm saying is that these are the things that really should have been focused on during Rick Allen's trial versus the day that the third-party suspect claim was denied, case over. We have nothing else to argue. There was a shit ton of a defense available to argue in Rick's case that wasn't argued simply because so much focus had been put on this odorous theory. And again, this odorous theory cannot be ignored. And we're going to get into that right now and why it's important as a nexus. And if you are not a part of my Facebook group, you need to join, even if you don't do Facebook, because I'm not going to have the time to upload all of these screenshots that I have. And I'm not talking about the ones that we're going to go through right now. I'm talking about other ones from Patrick Westfall's Facebook page. But I have a shit ton of Facebook posts from Patrick Westfall and Brad Holder that aren't popular, like they're not the popular ones circulated, but I'm going to post those in my group, and you guys can screenshot them, zoom in, and read them. This is connections to Brian James. This is connections that Patrick Westfall has to Asatru that he literally tries to downplay in his interview on Sleuth Intuition's page. It's his knowledge of runes. And I am really strongly leaning towards the fact that Brad Holder could have possibly been Patrick Westfall's fall guy. Sees through, that's exactly it. That's why going back out towards the Liebert's property doesn't make any sense, because it wasn't caught on the Sandifer's camera. I feel it went the other way down a path that we're not aware of, or they went on foot or by ATV further up the creek.
I'm sorry if someone said something to me. I had to talk to my significant other for a moment. Really sorry.
Yes, Critter Mama, yes, a four-wheeler could have easily gotten across the creek in that area. But let me say
Specifically the
this.
McCain Ford, which we have located because of ancient records, as in like 100 years ago.
So tomorrow during the vault with the loose ends, Fungi has a great presentation that because that when it comes to Reese Davis and the Keegan Klein and Ron Logan and the friend, everything adds up with that story to me, except for the ending of it, and that was Libby was transported after the fact back down to the crime scene in a wheelbarrow after
Until
being
now.
until now. So when I was there in Delphi in October with Julie in April and Cherie, and we went through all of the areas that we went through. When we went to the crime scene, we pulled into the cemetery. And so pretend that you're pulling into the cemetery and you're facing the cemetery and you drive straight to the back of it. We parked in the far right-hand corner and we exited the vehicle, and that's how we went down to the crime scene from that right-hand corner. Don't ask me about direction, north, south, east, west, because I get confused in this case on that. But we went down, we parked at the far right-hand corner of the crime scene, and we went down at an angle to the left. And it was a treacherous climb down. I mean, the divots, the hills, the ditches, there was barbed wire fencing. I don't know when the barbed wire fencing was put there. We had to climb over, climb under, and make our way down to the creek. Once we were at the crime scene, I was shocked at the view, how close the girls were to the creek's bank, how short of a dip the creek's bank is from where the girls were down to the water. It was not a 2-story incline by any means at all. And it was fairly, even with the overgrown brush, all these years later, it was a wide open space. Anybody walking along that side of the creek, number one, would have seen them. Number two, backing up to how we got down to the crime scene, if we would have went to the far left back corner of the cemetery and went down from there, a straight line down would have taken us straight to the crime scene in a much easier path. Anybody who was traveling down that area from the cemetery to the crime scene would have stumbled upon the bodies. Now, what Fungi has discovered is a path. Now you got to remember when you look at the hold on one second, let me pull it up here for you guys.
You don't want to save it? You can save it. We're dangling it in front of them, but you can save it.
I'm going to this will give them something to think about.
Ooh, I love thinking. It's dangerous though. Yeah, you guys hopefully they can see it better than you did. No offense. No, that'll come to me. Sorry.
Okay, so let me share my screen.
Your mama says, suppose the girls were meeting someone and was proposed as or was initiation. Four-wheelers can get up and down a river in quick time. Sound changes on river bottom holler. What if they were blindfolded? I mean, maybe, but like the sound would carry due to the sort of walls and the lack of leaves. It's just, yeah, it's weird.
Okay. So
Now, if
let
you have
me share.
theories, let us know and share them in chat. Oh, I'm sorry. Amy, go ahead. I'll
Oh, no,
allow it.
you're fine. No, you're fine. Okay. So here's Ron Logan's. Can you see that?
Oh, are you going to show the LiDAR or?
No, I'm not showing that. That'll
Okay.
be for tomorrow. So can you see my
Oh,
screen?
yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay. So when we entered the crime scene, so here's the cemetery.
You know, put the take away the bar on the side on the left side just so that we it looks a little bit bigger, or make it like full screen or whatever. Yeah,
Okay.
just so people can kind of get a little bit more.
Okay. So this is the, if you're coming into the cemetery, this is the back right corner. Okay. This is how we entered the crime scene. And we came down and then we traveled to the left. So if you have to pretend you're me.
Oh God,
You're
that's gonna be difficult, man.
you're coming down and if you're facing the creek, you're traveling to the left over here. But when we left the crime scene, we went straight up to
There are
here.
little paths there. There's little paths on LiDAR, but they are not nearly as obvious as the one uh that we believe that we found. Or,
Well, this path that we traveled coming from the crime scene going straight up was a lot easier than the path from over here. But what
right
we didn't,
so sorry if I want to interject. The old gravel pit on historic topo maps is to the left, or I guess never the west of this area. It's so you can see a ravine that goes kind of straight down from the cemetery. It is on the sort of the other side of that ravine, or like, yeah, it's not right there though. Is all I'm trying to say. But I sorry, I just really wanted to say
no,
that
you're fine.
the part with the gravel pit's actually very kind of interesting and changes a lot of the terrain there. It makes it very difficult to go straight from point A to point B because you got to fucking hole in the ground.
But what we're going to go over tomorrow in the vault is the pathway from Ron Logan's up here down to
You can see it kind of.
the pathway.
Right.
I got to delete this. I got to figure out how to delete it.
Click on it and then hit edit and then delete it. Genius.
I'll have to play with it.
No, put the three little dots on top.
Okay, there we go. So there's a pathway from Ron Logan's backyard that will get you to the crime scene, and we're going to go over that tomorrow, where that
Right
pathway
there.
is.
Yeah, so if you stop it right at the wood line at the top first, and then you make 1 point there, or at the wood line at the very top where
I think I see it. I
line.
think it travels from. I think I see it in here. It travels, but this pathway.
Yeah,
We're going to go over it tomorrow, but
it's pretty wide, guys. It's pretty wide.
It's going to make a lot more sense tomorrow when we go over it, and how
You know what I know.
it's possible. Ron Logan and Keegan and them could have gotten Libby down in a wheelbarrow that I didn't think was remotely possible. Okay, so we need to move on here.
Yes, I'm delaying everything. Chicken.
Okay, so we're talking about a nexus, and let's talk about this photograph. And the ex-wife of Patrick Westfall implicates the wife that came after her to be the female posed in this image.
Hey, can I ask a question to chat? How many of you have ever posed for something like this? Because I mean, I feel like it's pretty unique, is all I'm saying. The entire concept of having sticks on bodies played out like that. Anyone ever experienced this? Because I feel like the state is making it look, like they're like, no, 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 everyone does this. It's okay, guys, no big deal.
Well, we only have this like inverted image of her face in the purple here. But this is her, this image here. She married Patrick Westfall in 2019. And this image here was taken several years before that. But then we're going to talk about when Patrick Westfall was on Sleuth Intuition's channel during his interview. There was a person in the chat who left a comment during Patrick Westfall's interview that stated, "He raped me. I lived with him at the beginning of this year. He was dating my mom. He raped me. He is a very scary man. I was 15 at the time. I'm praying for justice for not only those girls, me and my family as well. Been waiting 7 months for an update from the Crawfordsville PD. This is my opportunity for my voice."
Girl,
And
you
then,
got more than that opportunity. We will platform you. We will make it so that they cannot ignore it. If you are listening, replay now. I don't know. I promise you, we will protect you. We will put like a freaking voice modulator on you if we need to. We will obscure some facts. We will change some facts if we have to make it so that he does not know it was you. You don't even have to come on. You can just tell us. You don't even have to do that. Just know that we are in your corner if you ever feel like you want to keep having a voice. Like,
well,
God, I just
let's go back. Let's go back for a minute to this whole
got you,
scenario,
girl.
right? Let's go back to this whole scenario here. So we know this was 2 years ago. So this was late 23, early 24 when this interview took place. And we know that Rick Allen's trial happened in what, 2024? So the male that we talked about at the very beginning of this series, who was standing outside of the courthouse, who claimed that he had an affiliation with the trailer park in Rushville and had moved. And a letter was put in his mailbox that said, this individual, he didn't give a name. I'm not saying it's Patrick Westfall, but there was a letter that was put in his mailbox where he said this individual is responsible for the Delphi murders. I'm giving this to you because you can do the right thing because I can't. This individual who received the letter was outside of the Carroll County Courthouse during the Delphi trial because he was looking for the individual that law enforcement had told him that had recently been kicked out of his girlfriend's house for raping her daughter and had recently moved close to the Carroll County Courthouse. So this individual was outside of the Carroll County Courthouse hoping to catch sight of this person, but he would not disclose who this person was. And I'm going to leave it at that. Other than to say that we know who this individual is. He is a professional, and it's proven to be very difficult to discreetly reach out to him because we can't directly contact him without going through his office. And we are not trying to disturb the peace in that sense. Because it doesn't seem like this individual wanted to be forthcoming. But the letter that he received in his mailbox, he did turn over.
He did the right thing.
Huh?
He did the right thing is the main thing that you gotta know.
Yeah, he took it to the sheriff's office. His friend at the sheriff's office pulled up this individual, and apparently this individual's record lit up like a Christmas tree. And then about 2 weeks,
people have told us that about a certain individual, multiple sources.
And right before the trial, this individual reached back out to his friend at the sheriff's department, who informed him that no, Delphi law enforcement never came and picked up the letter. But he did make it clear that he had a screenshot of the letter, which is why we want to reach out to him. But we have to do so indiscreetly, and that's becoming very challenging. So we have this comment during Sleuth Intuition's live, which Sleuth Intuition completely ignored and didn't confront Patrick on while he was live. Here's an image of them, Patrick Westfall and his new wife, Rachel, at Sunset Point, which is literally 1 mile from the south end of the Monon High Bridge.
Yeah, but that's the crow flies, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it could be. Yep.
There's quite a bit of things you might have to go around, including highway, all that kind of shit. So I just want, I'm not defending it. I'm not saying you're wrong. Just something.
Well, it could be less than a mile. It could be more. Based on how a crow flies, but
well, no, it's straight line distance, so it could only be more. Is the thing.
Oh, I don't know. Like if you take
straight line distance is literally without obstructions, just the closest like you can get. So if you don't do as the crow flies, then let's say that you're limited to roads. You have to go around yes, Patrick Westfall does have children. It's sad. Let's say it's like flying versus having to drive, because driving you have to stick to roads. Flying, you can just go straight through, baby.
Hold on.
And also, please give this stream a like, share it, make sure you're a follower or subscribe to the channel. We want to get to 5,000, and Amy doesn't know this, but once we get to 5,000, I will be sending her a chicken mask, which she will have to wear for an entire stream. Let's do it.
Okay, here is Sunset Point, right in here. And a straight line to the Monon High Bridge, which is 1 mile away. It feels like it's way longer than that. But we do have the ability to follow the creek line from the south end of the Monon High Bridge. Can you see my mouse?
I can see your mouse.
Okay. So my mouse is creeping along. We're going to go down this way.
Some cheese over there. The mouse wants to get
through
it.
the Bridge Creek, all the way down. Underneath the underpass.
Ultimately, this is going to be a lot more than the single mile, guys, is all I'm saying.
It could be, yeah. Now, let me see here. There's one thing I want to pull up here.
Oh, true crime addict. If only I could subscribe more than once. Well, you can if you make another account. I'm kidding. Do it though. Do it. I'm not. Has your bird been quiet lately, Amy? Someone's missed Rocky.
No, he's not being quiet. He's downstairs talking mad shit right now.
He's just pissed off he can't be on live stream right now.
He has, okay, we'll save this for tomorrow. He has realized, oh yes, I still have my bird. He's not going anywhere, even though you ought to see my fingers here lately. So this is like his, because it's winter, it's hard for me to entertain him in the house. He's got multiple places in the house where I can move him to, but he's not happy with just being perched. He wants to get down and walk around. But the problem is that the first place he wants to go is to the kitchen cabinets where he chews, or he goes to, we have like cushioned mats in the kitchen. We are on our 4th set of kitchen mats because they're like a, you know, like when you stand on them, they're supposed to be like supported for your back. He chews them. And in a matter of 1 minute, he can demolish the whole top layer of the mat at the sink or in front of the refrigerator.
That's impressive. Like someone should study that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, in the summertime, I give him like full-blown zucchinis. I'll put him on the patio table and I'll give him a zucchini and he'll destroy it like it's a sponge. And it's good for him. But so in the wintertime, he gets kind of pissed off because I can only let him out of his cage when I can actually watch him. So I let him out every morning when I get up for work. He walks around the kitchen counter while I'm fixing my lunch to go to work. He literally tries to knock off all the candles, anything glass that he can move with his beak, that he can make like a bang, 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 bang to the edge of the counter and knock it off sound. He thinks that's the most entertaining shit ever. He rips apart anything, like if I'm fixing a sandwich to take to work, he wants to come over and rip apart my plastic bag. Like it's just a whole game that we play in the morning. But he has realized that it's Christmas. And I've been for 3 years now, been trying to teach him, ho, 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 Merry Christmas. So we are now 3 years later at the point where he has ho, 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 Merry. So because we have Christmas music playing in the house, he knows it's Christmas. So now that's his thing right now. Ho, 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 Merry. But we don't get Christmas. And
how old's Rocky?
He's almost 28.
Holy shit. That bird's.
Yeah.
I was trying to put on my camera so that I could show you guys my live stream of my chicken coop. Meanwhile, they're just fine with chicken coop building for like 5 months of the year and just hanging out with each other. And they're currently fighting over a nesting box right now. It's really good, guys.
See, I wish that Rocky could have a friend, but everything that I read says absolutely fucking not. They have African Greys. First of all, they have a mentality of like a 5-year-old by the time they're fully matured. He is still considered like a preteen because they live to be like 60 to 70 years old. So he still thinks it's absolutely freaking hilarious when I reach in his cage and I'm like, come on, buddy, let's go. He steps up, I get him out of the cage and I'm halfway to the kitchen and he fucking nails my finger. I have multiple scars on my fingers. And that's his way of telling me, I don't want to go there. Don't take me to that perch. That's not where I want to go. He wants to be put down and he wants to walk around. Or
he needs to learn to do the whole ratatouille thing with you.
He's very stubborn. And he's set in his ways. And I've had him and I've been affiliated with him all of his life. Long story short, my aunt bought him from an Avery when he was, I think it was 12 weeks old. He was half feathered. He was still getting his feathers. He was still eating off of a syringe. And when she bought him, I bought another parrot that I ended up having to take to a rescue because she was a Moluccan cockatoo that absolutely hated children. And I couldn't let her out of the cage because she would try to attack my kids. And I just could not get her to stop the aggressive behavior. But my aunt had Rocky from the time he was a baby, and her and I both raised him. And then when she retired about 15 years ago, I took him. So I've had him for years. He's definitely my bird. He's already in my will as to who he goes to. He goes to my oldest daughter. If something ever happens to
I
me.
thought you were going to spring this on me. I was like, no, Amy, no.
Yeah, Fungi is getting Rocky. Fungi is being shipped in a crate to Michigan. No, no, and it's not because he's not going to my oldest daughter because he likes her, because he doesn't. To be flat out honest, African Greys are usually very sexually oriented, and he preferences men. And I don't mean that in a fucking sick way. I just mean any man can walk in my house.
Can't put it back in the jar.
Oh, thank you, the Chronic Illness Diaries. Thank you so much.
We should read that. We should read that out loud.
I feel like the fact that any of RA's statements could be used against him while he was psychotic and on psych meds. I just had surgery and they said not to sign anything legal because of anesthesia. How is this legal? Girl, you are absolutely on point with that, for sure. And it's a no-brainer, to be honest. And I feel like he was forced into that situation. He was forced into being medicated so they could get it. Think about the majority of the trial. That's just a no-brainer right there. Think about the majority of the trial that was focused on his confessions. And just remember that we had no confessions at the time of his arrest. That all came after the fact.
Yeah, what would they have had? It would have been like a 2-day trial. Otherwise, right?
They would have had the bullet. They would have had the bullet that,
and everyone would have laughed them out of the fucking court.
Well, but the thing is that this is the problem. When you have somebody who talks and talks and talks and talks and talks and talks, like the state's, bullet expert did, she literally talked her way into convincing the jury that, you can take a bullet that's never been fired and match it to a weapon by comparing it to a bullet that was fired.
It's interesting because I believe it was Andy Baldwin, I think it was, might have been Rossi, I don't remember, but they actually had a case before the Richard Allen case that had the exact same thing occur. And it was ruled admissible, but I just think that's interesting. I need to, person who told me that, I really, they're very good at citing the source. I was in the middle of the woods when they told me it, so I couldn't look at the source.
Yeah, we heard about the confessions redacted from the guilters way before we should have. Why? Because I feel like Jerry Holman or others from ISP and Nick McClellan were sharing it with creators, aka murder shits. And if you go back to the very beginning when murder shits came on the scene, they were very well balanced and reporting on the case fairly. It wasn't until they started dropping behind the scenes knowledge that no one else knew about that their narrative started to switch over to the state's side of things. And there's no denying that.
Look, I understand why people think it's Monica Walla, and I think that it's definitely a possibility. But I think that we need to keep open the possibility that there are a lot of other leakers. Because I'm pretty
Well,
sure that they were trying. Oh my God, my bird just knocked down an entire bucket. Sorry.
I think Walla was sucked in to the whole true crime
Yeah.
lifestyle of being in chat rooms, and she probably started out with just, you know,
Important though. It made her
pure
feel important, you
interest,
know.
pure interest. But the second that she was assigned Rick Allen, she should have recused herself. She should have said, I can't take this case. I'm too close to
Yeah.
it. The information, I mean, she is no different to me than a Dan Doolin. Like, I got this information, I went back to the office, and I destroyed it. That's pretty much the same thing that she did. We have.
All I'm saying is that there's they were trying to investigate some of these leaks. The people on Unified Command, there were people assigned to investigate who was leaking, and
Well, that right there is the first problem. Is Unified Command investigating Unified Command?
Yeah, well, no, that huge issue. And granted, but I'm just saying, like, there a lot of the people that they think were sometimes leaking the murder sheet weren't the ones who were leaking the murder sheet, and vice, and that kind of thing is all I'm saying. Like, I think we need to consider that there were a lot of people.
Oh no, I firmly believe that Nick McClelland was filtering information, whether it was being disseminated by him directly to Fig, and
I'm just
Fig
saying, like, everyone who might think it's just Jerry Holman who was feeding them, I don't.
No, I think it was. I think it was numerous people, but I don't trust Jerry Holman as far as I could fucking kick him with my little toe. He is a liar, and the simple fact, but you know what? It's the frustrating part of the matter is that you look at Jerry Holman and you go, "Hey, this guy is a fucking dumbass," but he played his cards right by being completely truthfully honest in his depositions and banking on the fact that the defense team wouldn't use his own words against him. For example, Keegan Kline told me that his dad and his dad's friend committed the murders. That was back during his deposition. So why are we playing this shock and awe game when Michael Osbrook filed the motion to correct error, and you've got Reese Davis letters that were mailed during the trial, and Nick McClelland is trying to act like he has no freaking idea what anybody's talking about. But Nick McClelland was sitting right there next to Jerry Holman months before during his deposition when he said, Keegan Kline told us the same thing. And then they drug Reese Davis's name through the fucking mud, claimed he failed a lie detector's test. They destroyed, or they've hidden with the first 70 days of interrogation videos. They can't be trusted, none of them. And they are lying, corrupt law officials, prosecutors, and affiliates. And then I look at the defense team and I just don't even know what to say, because I feel that they truly had Rick Allen's best interest at heart. I think that they just got lost on how to give him their best.
I don't think they'd ever seen anything quite like this. And they were kind of playing basketball, and Judge Gull was like, now we get to kick the ball and we're playing soccer. And we're kind of like, wait, what the fuck? And then they just, like, literally had never seen a case that was like this. They were like, oh, did it, like just some, probably never faced with like a quote unquote grand conspiracy case, which I'm not saying it's a grand conspiracy, but there's a feeling of conspiracy in the air with this one, and it's probably really fucking just kind of blew their minds a little bit.
I mean, 1 out of 10 doesn't mean that you're hitting a fucking home run. And 9 of the confessions that Rick Allen gave were fruitless and baseless and were completely off point. And then he says, I saw a white van. I don't even believe he said that. I
No, he didn't
believe
say anything about a white thing.
I don't believe that
White.
he told Dr. Walla anything about a fucking white van. If anything, she suggested it, and he's like, yeah.
Well, it's kind of weird that, all the other quote unquote confessions were recorded and not this one single one wasn't. I just think that's just an insane coincidence. It could be real, but
don't even get me started on all of these recordings that the warden took the bench under oath and testified to didn't have any audio. And then we're stuck sitting during the trial for an hour, hour and a half, while they have to go back and remove the audio that wasn't supposed to be there to begin with on these videotapes. I mean, it is completely a violation of Rick Allen's civil rights, and guilty or not, the problem is in this country, we have a due process that needs to be followed. You cannot, I don't care if it's 130 year life sentence or a death penalty. To me, it's all the same. It is a life sentence of deplorable conditions and complete and absolute degradation of a human being's life. And
how can you be any better than a person who takes a person's life? If you are not giving them a fair trial, how can a judge who sentences someone
exactly
via a jury sentences them to 80 years to be any better or any more morally correct than someone who literally kills someone and takes 80 years of what they should have had? Like that's what I'm,
a judge, a jury, a prosecutor needs to be held to the highest utmost of a standard in persecuting an individual to take away their entire life. And that's what matters here. And I'm, I don't
want to address one more thing.
Go ahead.
The jury directly responsible for Fortson's death. I'll die on that hill. Yeah, I think parts of it contributed, but there's some things that you guys got to note that, like, we don't know the whole story with that because of the nature of it being from the National Guard and stuff like that. A lot of this stuff, but one of the things is, like, we don't know A, what his mentality was before that. We don't know B, like, the series of events that occurred, what was on the line for him. He was just left a message. Let's put it that way, from Holman, basically to his base, like, to follow up, and basically at that point he was just reactive. And the thing is, when people decide to take their lives, this is the truth. It literally can happen. Like, they can do it in a matter of minutes, and that's what happens a lot of the time.
Let me play devil's advocate.
Yeah, no, please.
When it comes to Jerry Holman, and when it comes to his behavior and his self-righteous feeling that he believes that he's wearing a bulletproof vest, not only on the streets, but in the rule of law. And when you watch him in Rick Allen's interrogation video with the absolute most despicable piece of evidence, this bullet that's highly in question, that hasn't been, he can say that their lab tested it, but it hasn't been tested by a defense expert. Okay. But to be that confident in the way that he handled himself in that interrogation video shows you the lengths of depravity that he's willing to go to get what he wants. And when it comes to Fortson, I feel that he was willing to threaten all different kinds of things, because you have to understand his livelihood with this case was on the line. If this case
No,
didn't go
so
to
there's
trial,
kind of a hidden story, and
wait a
as
minute,
soon as I can get my
let me
okay.
finish. Jerry Holman's career was on the line if this case didn't go to trial, and it was a win. And
Why would
so
you say
was Nick
that? I'm just curious.
McClellan's. No,
Oh,
was Nick.
because of the leak?
No, because of the arrest itself, because of the fucking tragic trash of an investigation that they did for 6 years. And then they slapped this arrest on an innocent man that they knew goddamn well was going to be an uphill battle. They were willing to do anything and everything to convict him. And we know that now because they skirted by with this guilty verdict with a judge who was completely biased, who allowed for zero defense to be presented. And what do after the trial? They go on a fucking national parade of notoriety of what great work they did because they think that we're all so stupid.
All right,
And
so
they,
I just need to make a few comments here, and this will be the last to talk about. One, I'm not defending Jerry Holman at all. Like, I do believe that what he did was completely unethical. I think that he should be held accountable for it. However, I also believe that there are two sides to every story, and that people have not heard the side. I was lucky enough to hear a side of it, and I have to get an okay from my source to share this more with you. But I just want you guys. That's why I've been kind of like saying like. Look, Holman's easy to point to as the boogeyman, but there's there's other people who were just complete who were basically letting him take a lot of the flack that he was okay with taking it, which I have a huge issue with because then you can't hold anyone responsible.
was that what are
But
you? Was that in law enforcement or was that someone else?
I don't want to say anything else on stream about that. I can talk to you a little bit outside of stream, but I have to get the okay from my source, and I really would love to be able to tell someday. You guys will know what I know. No, no, but I swear to God, like I'm gonna try to get a good kind of just to hold on the facts for you guys because I would really like to say this because I think that it's equally as important to understand the where things went, like how things escalated with the crime, as it is to understand how things went wrong with the investigation. So I think it's just like how we
Well,
got here. It's really, really
I
important to understand their mentality
and that might be, but at the end of the
so we can
day,
figure out what was covered up, like what they had. We can figure out that kind of thing, like what they had the potential, what they had the balls to cover up, that kind of thing. Like by doing that, we can maybe be able to figure out a few things.
well, I think the cover up is all self-serving. I think that
Oh,
Nick McClellan
100%, girl.
I think that Nick McClellan stepped into the role of prosecutor without being elected. Um,
I think you got to
for
realize that Nick Cleveland is kind of like has made other people his bitch, but Gall has also made him her bitch. Is
well,
is kind of the hierarchy in
I
this,
think
guys.
that I think those two go hand in hand, and
Oh yeah,
uh,
they feed off each other, but I think
there's
that oh man,
Judge
I just
Gall.
yeah,
There's
I
there
will
there
have a
is
story for you guys.
there is some serious allegations against Judge Gall in her uh,
We should go.
her
We should get a stream just on that.
her connections to the the dark side of the masonry and what her kids are involved in. And I think that you're going to find out that she's a lot more connected to the lifestyle that Nick McClelland is connected to than people, outside of Indiana are aware of. And they wouldn't believe it. They wouldn't believe it. They would think that, she's a judge. She's going to follow the rule of law. But you know what? You follow this case from beginning to end, and you're going to see really quickly that she is a
What kind of
tool.
person she is.
She's a fucking tool. And she allowed Nick McClelland to use all of her wrenches and screwdrivers while he was attempting to try this case, including giving him heads up like, hey, well, you could file a motion to eliminate the third party suspect.
Symbiotic relationship. It was a symbiotic relationship of
It
just
was ridiculous.
complete and utter. What'd you say?
I said it's ridiculous how I really hope we are not facing, and this is just based on experience, I really hope that we're not facing a state like we faced in Wisconsin with the Stephen Avery case, where a higher court feels the need to protect a lower court because of the implications and the financial detriment that would come about if a certain case was overruled. And that's what I fear the most, is that we're going to be fighting an uphill battle because this corruption runs so deep. It goes over the heads of the appellate court, and it goes over the head of the Indiana Supreme Court, that we're not going to see any relief based on the rule of law because of political issues and the corruption that is literally woven through the fabric of this state. And that's exactly what we went through when we were fighting for Stephen Avery's case to be overturned. And that's why corruption needs to be nipped in the butt at the very base level. And when it gets as far as it's gotten already in this case, you got problems. When you have a judge, when you're trying to put it like this, when defense attorneys and appellate attorneys are trying to figure out the best way to word a filing to the appellate court because they don't want to give the appellate court an excuse to not rule in your favor because the judge that they would be overruling in the lower court is up for an election, aka Judge Gall, who will be up for an election. When you have to pussyfoot around the way that you file a brief to give the appellate court an excuse to overturn a lower level court's decision without putting out there in the mainstream media that the judge just got it factually wrong, that's a problem in itself. And that's really where we are. Because Judge Gall is going to be up for re-election around the time that this appellate decision is going to come down. And it's already been stated that these briefs and this all I'm going to say is this: if the appellate court is going to take into consideration whether Judge Gall is up for re-election or not to determine their decision, we have a problem.
Yeah, that's everything should be tried or looked at in a vacuum. It's ridiculous.
Right. Critter Mama, you're right. She probably won't even have anybody running against her. And the appellate court still will have a problem ruling against her and overturning her decision in this case. There's connections and there's connections and there's connections, aka tentacles. All right, give me 1 second. I need to go fill up my water cup, and then we're going to go on to these very interesting screenshots. So I'll give you
Yes.
I'll give
Let's
you 2 minutes,
talk
Fun
about-
Guy, to talk. I'm going to give you 2 minutes, Fun Guy, to talk chickens.
Yeah, I was just about to say. All right, guys. So my chicken the other day laid a 90-gram egg. And I'm very proud of her. Her name's Big Girl, otherwise known as BG. We don't call her BG on this channel, though. We call her Big Girl because obvious reasons. BG, oh, goddamn. Big Girl. Did you guys know that chickens purr when they're content and happy? I made sure I held her after I saw that she laid that egg because I was like, girl, you have worked so hard. Yeah, no, but she was, oh yeah. Yeah, so basically, okay, if you go medium, large, or jumbo, so usually her breed, like the other girls, she's a Rhode Island red, and she's just like a year and a half old, and so when we tried to put it in a jumbo carton, it would not fit. I mean, you can check on my Twitter. I posted a picture of it next to one of the normal eggs. Uh, Big girl is very impressive. I love her. Um, yeah, I have a black copper Marin's rooster that came with my home. So he was he got very close to getting into the stew pot last year. I'm really hoping that he does not get all hormonal this spring again and try to attack me. But yeah, no, big girl she's good. I was actually worried earlier last couple weeks ago that she had a bound egg, but it turns out she didn't. But I did give her the spa treatment. What you do is you put a chicken like in some warm water. Uh, and I had a bucket, and it was literally you just put their butt in the warm water. And some people have like cardboard cutouts where they like just let their head, like there's a hole for their head, and so the chicken can basically do that but not get out of the bucket. It's actually really freaking funny. Um, but she was super chill about it. And then she got to sleep in a cat carrier on top of the heated floor that the previous owner of this house installed in like a tiny little corner. And I think that she loved it. And I love her so much. Yeah, warm water loosens us all up, don't it? Yeah. But yeah, so she did such a good job. The normal sized eggs that her sisters lay are medium to large, usually more around the 50-gram mark. So big girl is an overachiever. And it was not a double yolker, guys. It was not a double yolker. It was a single yolker. She's just one of a kind, guys. She's a full package. She loves being held, which not all chickens do. She's very smart. She's very intelligent. She's huge and she lays big freaking eggs. And yeah, no, like we're not gonna. She's not broody, so I wouldn't let her hatch it. I only have one broody hen, except that's the hen that uh no, she's not mean. My least Wyandottes are freaking assholes. We call them Tweedledee and Tweedledum, but they probably both refer to themselves as Tweedledee because they're like, oh yeah, I'm bad. I'm the top shit. I'm so awesome. They're the biggest they are actually, oh my God, they're currently in the same nesting box. And these nesting boxes only hold one chicken, by the way. But they have made their way in there. They bullied Booger out, my Buff Orpington. These two are complete.
Okay,
They're
I'm back.
just they're a mess. Oh yeah, sorry. Okay. Anyways, Amy's back. Yeah, I love chickens.
I love chickens. I love your chickens. I do. Last night we were laying in bed and we were watching shit. I don't even know what we were watching, but Mike, who's not a fan of TikTok, pulled up TikTok and there was this video of chickens and he was like, "Are you going to send that to your friend?"
I'm famous.
Yeah. Okay, so we are
Mike knows
starting
about me.
here. We're gonna get through these. Um, I know we've already gone through these. This is talking about, Murky Mirror is Patrick Westfall's ex-wife. She's talking about who he tried to sleep with that lived there on the same street of Charles Street there in Delphi. She's talking about where he goes to camp. And she tries to point it out, which I've got it on the map, Sunset Point. I just have to figure out the direction that she's claiming he walks through the woods to get there because it seems like it's a good distance. So there's that. Let me see here. Hold on, 1 through 14. Okay, so here, really quick, let me pull this one up. So this is a picture. See the woman here in the center? This
I
is
do.
Rachel Westfall. So if you look at that picture and you look at this picture, I
That's
can
perfectly
agree.
normal. Look at that. Yeah,
It's,
just holding a knife to your wife, right?
yeah,
That's
but
normal, guys.
she's a brunette in that picture. Is my point. She's a
But
brunette here. She's a brunette
why is
here,
that
and
considered?
it matters when you go to this photograph here. I can absolutely see it being the same person. That's not my speculation.
But it,
Okay, so we are on number 19. Murky Mirror says the girl in the middle is Rachel. Brian is in the front. Picky is rated up. The one in the back is picture with Brad. I don't know him. The guy next to Pat disappeared. The bald one with the beard disappeared. So here's Patrick Westfall in the top portion of the photo. The guy to the right, who is bald with the beard, disappeared. She goes on to say, well, Meringue asks, disappeared like missing or dead or both? She said no, because Patrick wouldn't let the kids move in. He was beating the fuck out of Henrik and Zoe. So DCS kept showing up. Her kids were not there much after the report about meth and Rachel had a broken wrist. His kids are hers. Murky Mirror says it could be either or. He showed up with Pat, said he was hiding. So she's answering the question from above. Is he disappeared like missing or dead or both? So she's answering that question. Could be either. He showed up with Pat, said he was hiding out on charges in Flora. Then Pat got the guy a shitty apartment close to the police station. Then the guy legit was just gone. So I did a little bit of research on that. Here we go. Let me pull that up for you. And we know that Patrick Westfall was renting a house on Charles Street. But when you do the research, let me share my screen, and you do the background check on Patrick Westfall. He's renting a house on Charles Street. And he also shows to be on the lease at 112 West Main Street, which would be the shitty apartment, which is right next to the Delphi police station, just like she says. Boom. $596 away as the crow flies. So that's not made up. When you do Patrick Westfall's background check, this 112 West Main Street shitty apartment address absolutely comes up. So let's go back to it. So then she's asked by Meringue, you know anything about Holder committing a murder in Florida? Murky Mirror, I think, is still on. Another question. She says, start to finish, less than a year. I was giving them rides to get SIGs. Doubt it. He wasn't much. Now she's talking about Brad Holder. He wasn't much of a dangerous person. Off, yeah, but not mean or dangerous. He would have just said, he just would say dumb shit. So Square Meringue asks, oh yeah, a military party at Ron Logan's. You know anything about that? Is that something that Pat would do or go to, or has talked about? She said, I never knew anything of Holder going to Florida. It was always just Pat, because Pat had to drive because he was still the bitch. Just means he was a probate. Meringue says yes. Murky Mirror says, oh yeah, so I'm assuming she's answering the question from above. Did Pat go to military parties at Ron Logan's house? To me, this is the answer to that question. Oh yeah, Pat went to a few. Pat would leave the kids home for days and not tell anyone. He would also lock them out of the house from when he woke up until 7 to 9 at night. He went to one hog roast and had to go to the hospital after. And he only took his oldest son to club stuff. He was afraid my two would tell me. He was having the kids sell acid. I'm not sure if that means anything. This is probably irrelevant, but the girls died February 2017. In June of 2018, Pat was arrested and charged for beating our kids. Guess who my kid's attorney was? Nick McClellan, and he tried to help Pat walk on the charges. Meringue says, yeah, I think I seen that conflict of interest. So we have skipped through Okay, hang on. I'm missing a slide. So now we skip to 31. So here's Murky Mirror, the ex-wife. She says, I just don't know Holder well enough to say how far he could go, but I never once believed he pulled it off. If I had to guess, Pat was lying to everyone. He traps people in a web for fun. He watches the suffering. Every part is fun. The pain inflicted during and after. And he plays victim the entire time. Yes, he's meticulously detailed, but he keeps his home a complete disaster. I think Pat got familiar with the locals at the bar, like possibly Richard Allen and Ron Logan. Pat loves chatting at the bar. Those poor fools may have been involved and had no idea. Pat was good at getting things, like he may have asked to be out on Ron Logan's property, but he might not have known everything. Pat was so friendly. I don't recall a white car off the top of my head. It was a nice blue truck, then a Jimmy for a few. Rachel had a small car, and then the maroon Ford Flex, but Pat lost his license for short periods of time and was catching rides from people in Delphi. I don't think Pat was bridge guy. Pat would already be at the destination or in a ghillie suit waiting. He used to work at the hog plant, but that was a few years before. The hog roast were common in the summer and spring, not just hog, potluck, actual family days. They did yearlies. That's when the whole family and supporters came. Pat got away more active after the deaths. I think that was everything you asked. So then Meringue asks, You good? Long day of discussion. So out of everything we talked about, two things really stood out to me by far. First, him and the little girls. I don't know if somehow I missed this, but that may be known amongst the locals, but I don't think that was at all, not even a little bit known to the larger crowd of people that follows this. Am I correct in that? Like, that is fucking crazy. And the KK connection and the phone and Nick, I think you said was the name. Is there like any kind of timelines for that? Because that's fucking huge, right? Do you follow everything? Timeline? Murky Mirror says, I keep saying, but I'm a woman. It's assumed I'm lying, but she spoke up. It was unspoken. The daughter had a girl stay the night. Pat couldn't stop commenting on her boobs, so all the girls knew. It happened enough, Pat coming on to her friends, that they just wouldn't go over there. She was 13. They were roughly the same. The woman, it was known he was a horn dog. Fuck anything that walks. No need to like him back. The boys lost friends because the mom didn't want Pat stopping by. One kid, I remember the mom spoke up. I think her ex-husband said something. I also remember Pat is from Lafayette, not Delphi. Lafayette knows all about Pat, and it's not quite, we all went to school together. Actually, hold on. See if I can get that to go off. Actually, it was West Point. We all started school and graduated together. It was a small something. The chickens, he drained them over the summer of 2017. And yes, the blood was used to bless the runes they made by slicing discs out of thick twigs. He keeps them in a bag. This was after the ones he's pictured making. He did this with kids present, not just ours. Did he have a favorite rune or a favorite knife or a collection jar? The way he spun it all, I've never met anyone that works like Pat, because one was dressed and one was naked. Pat loves that shit, humiliation. Then he lied about Brad for absolutely zero reason other than that humiliation. He's pretty stuck on taking Brad down, and the look in his eye when he says it. Before the memorandum came out, I just thought, well, Pat can kill, but he wouldn't rape one while the other is sitting there. But they lied about everything. They made it sound spur of the moment. That's not Pat. Pat wouldn't get caught. And I thought the DNA was P. If I'm right, it's definitely Pat. Motherfucker pees on people as dominants. Try a china cabinet. He had on called Mador. He bought it for our son. He never got kept it, whatever that means. Pat still has it. He is obsessed with old-fashioned open razor blade. He had an off-white one. He had an AK that just got seized, but that's his baby. Never leaves home without a blade and brass knuckles. It was all kept in the front touch cabinet along with his ruins, his antique Nazi memorabilia, and a few other things. Him and Rachel both, I don't know why we keep getting cut off, both kept all in the don't, him and Rachel both kept it all in the don't touch cabinet along with his ruins, his antique Nazi memorabilia, and a few other things. Him and Rachel both had an altar. That's where the magic and paying is done. He has all Pure Kids' names on his collarbone. The letter for A is the same as S, but it's flipped. It's the F symbol. It's the F symbol. It means some dumb shit too, like it's facing one way, it's Odin, and if it's opposite, it means disgrace. He's also in love with Odin's two-headed dog. Why do you think Flora? To gain status, easy hit, help out some slumlord, and did he mean to kill them? His hammer he wears around his neck is a calling card to other members. He had either the dialogue or the raven. It's in all of his picks. Ultimately, it wasn't a letter he loved. It was the concept of Odin, the power, being a god. Meringue says, hellbound? He mentioned a tiff between the girls. Pat will tell you arson is a 5-year sentence. Murder is a 25 rap. It's 3. Oh, sorry. Pat will tell you arson is a 5-year sentence. Murder is 25 and rape is 3. Meringue says, wow. It's his words to live by. It's his words to live by. Meringue says, I trust. That and something about fucking men in the ass. Oh my God. Did I just say that out loud?
Oh, okay.
Meringue
That
says
escalated
what?
quickly.
Meringue says what? He gets down? And Murky Mirror says, Pat's a closet gay. He loves it in his, you know what? They passed wives
No,
around.
Amy, I don't know what. I'm kidding.
I'm so done. They passed wives around. I always wonder how much they did together. I never did it. I found out while I was pregnant. Pat likes 2 guys, 1 girl. Meringue says, I bet he does. He gets into snuff, hardcore BDSM shit, because that definitely is a thing that's been spoken about. Murky Mirror says, also Brad hit on me, I think it said hit on me, while I was hiding from Pat around late 2015. I have no idea if he realized who I was, but I figured it out. And Pat was always asking me to meet Vinlanders. He would tell them I was into things I was not into. Again, never did it. Yeah, the Chinese stuff. What is the Hiroshima? And rape porn. I specifically NC sex. He wants the girls crying, but then once it starts, it feels so good they can't stop from coming, asking me to act it out. I failed. That was 2014, 2015 also. He showed me them, downloaded them off Pirate Bay, Asian cartoons with 12 oozing D's, demon on one tiny unwilling girl, and they NC
Right.
What's NC mean? Non-consensual?
Non-consensual.
And they non-consensual sex, kidnapping, and rape. When he showed me what porn he likes and asked me to act out non-consensual sex, no, so much BDSM because the person giving
Probably not so much BDSM because the person giving
permission is the one in control. And he lacks imagination when it comes to pleasing another woman. I am into BDSM, so the conversation was had. He wants non-compliance and force. He likes to give pain when he's drunk or mad. And that be it, everybody. So.
Okay, I know way more than I wanted to ever know about this man's proclivities, alleged proclivities, because these are all alleged.
They're all alleged. They're all alleged. Patrick Westfall could have nothing to do with this case. We just report the information. We just report the information that we're giving here on Case by Case. And he's not the only person that we've done a deep dive on. Yeah, that's a great big effing wow. That's a great big hot mess of a mess. That's a great big, let's go back to what is a nexus?
She didn't leave much out.
And don't forget this guy, this hot guy right here, who Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall felt the need to brag about having a meet and greet with David Hensley, who was then ultimately charged for exploiting his own children, one being an infant, by performing sexual acts on the infant, live streaming on the internet.
You guys notice what? Go back to that picture of them at the meet and greet. You notice who's with them. Look at he's holding.
It's Patrick Westfall, Brad Holder, David
Well,
Hensley.
no, I'm talking about Hensley. You see, Hensley's got a kid with him.
Yeah, the baby.
So,
the baby and
I
the
just
other
think
child.
that's significant. I think it might be significant, the fact that the kid was with him, is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, it could have been a meet and greet of a different way, of a different meaning.
Yeah, these were
anything happened.
These were previous screenshots that I cropped out to keep the ex-wife safe, but she outed herself. So that's not my fault. That's hers. Neighbors kept calling cops because Pat was sacrificing chickens at home for rituals, and he let the white chickens live, named it white power, and would scream all night, white power. Cops come and it's for a chicken. Then he started with the cop that asked for sex when pulling over people. I have no idea who he was, but it went public a while ago. And then there is this David guy. Pat claims him and the Vinlanders were going to set up David because of his kiddie porn. That's how Pat framed it and told me. Pat knew David was selling his content with his own kids. Holder and Pat met David March of 2026. And there's a screenshot of them briefly, as I couldn't actually read them or hold his phone. Then he read out loud prices in which kid was going to be used. They talked about drugs in exchange for videos, all kinds of shit. Pat spoke of him one time. I told him that's not okay to have on your phone, bro. What the fuck? That's incriminating. Nah, he said. I'm working with someone. Hell, he'll be lucky if we don't kill him. Pat had nothing to do with his arrest. I think it was so he could just have a witness say, no, Officer Pat was helping. He wasn't actually purchasing child porn. Pat had all this guy's messages as screenshots on his phone. He showed me that David guy was selling videos of his kids, even the baby. Okay, I'm done.
He's going to special hell for special. He's going to special hell, not just normal hell, but special hell.
If it's true.
No, I'm saying the Hensley guy at least.
No. Co-mama, I know. That was facetious, sarcastic. David Hensley is not hot. Good Lord. So there you have it. This is episode 3 of Transparency, and I
He's
put
not
it all
your
out
type?
there. Huh?
He's not your type?
None of them are
You're
my
not
type.
You're not into the stringy looking like
God.
he's got like wicker
Come
basket hair or whatever, you know, you're not into that whole in the pube beard thing. You're not into that?
No.
Amy, jeez. That pube beard, man. I mean, you find one of those hairs in your food, and you're just like you're questioning, like, oh, where did this one come from?
I would rather try a hallucinative drug.
Those are fun though. You can see elves.
Oh God.
Not that I've ever tried, but my uncle, who definitely has never ever done drugs, by the way, he just, he's just heard a lot about it. He's done drugs. But I can't say he has. Yeah, he's like telling me all about it because apparently my mom was a wild child when she was my age, when she was in college and stuff, because she went to college in California and did hitchhiking and all that stuff, and she probably she definitely probably saw some serial killers and had no idea who she was. It's a fact.
Well, you know what's crazy is I've been doing all of this research on the Gilgo Beach murders, and I know that there's a guy in custody who I believe is guilty of some of these
Right
murders.
on, right.
But I think that there's other serial killers out there, but there's also, believe it or not, guys, there is also this very viable connection to a cult with the Gilgo Beach murders and the trafficking of women and sex crimes that runs up the political chain that has been tried to be covered up. That's what has really sucked me in to the Gilgo Beach case, because outside of Rick Allen, there's so many similarities with this crime, and it's still ongoing. I don't believe that they have discovered all of the bodies that are there to be discovered, and I don't believe that I think Rex Heuermann is guilty for 4, possibly 7, but we have 11 victims. And there are some shady freaking characters in law enforcement in this case. And there are some shady freaking people who live in the housing community right there along Gilgo Beach where all of these bodies were found. So when you see us go live about Gilgo Beach, you better tune in, because I'm going to be toggling back and forth between Delphi, Gilgo, and the Rebecca K. Park case out of Michigan. Fungi.
She wants me to go. If it goes to trial, she wants me to go there. I said, you got to come with me.
So
I said, I can put you in my treehouse or a tent for like, whatever, how long. No, I'm kidding. I think we can figure out something.
No, there,
Yeah.
True Crime Advocate. There is a lot of interviews with attorneys and investigators in the case who feel that that a certain aspect of the victim. So we have all these bodies along Gilgo Beach, but the victims that are wrapped in burlap, we know belong to, they're victims of Rex Heuermann. There are other bodies that are, they have been basically dismembered. And I think that we're dealing with the second serial killer there. Then there is in Midtown, Gilgo, Oak Beach. There's a whole lot of other areas where there are still a lot of missing girls that have not been found. So I want to dig into this. This is just right up my alley. And I've already started a Google Earth map of all of the locations. And I think it would be interesting to follow and how it all plays out. But the Michigan case with Rebecca K. Park, that one.
That area has such a meth problem, like such a drug Cadillac.
Oh my God.
Such a problem. Guys,
So
they're calling it Northern Michigan. It's not Northern Michigan. I will die on that hill, but it's okay for everyone else. It's Northern Michigan.
Rex isn't giving anything up. Rex is claiming to be innocent on everything. And
innocent of these crimes.
I'm really interested in the Shannon Gilbert case. I don't believe that she just ran out into the marsh and just died that night. I think that she was murdered. I think that she was strangled. So, and then her story is even more horrific than any others, because her mother, it's a long story. I'll get into it on my first episode of covering Gilgo. I've started compiling the information. I want to go through it step by step, location by location. And because there's so many victims, we're going to have to go through the timeline. So I'm excited to present that. But Shannon Gilbert is, for me, somebody who she has been excluded in the investigation of the Gilgo Beach murders. And I agree with that, but I do believe that she was murdered. But it was because of her case and the search for her where all of these other victims were, they turned up in the search for her. But please, when you see us go, yeah, it is a domino effect, and it's very interesting. And my channel will not hang its hat on Delphi. Delphi is dear to my heart. So Sleuthy Goosey's asking which I'm asking you, Sleuthy, which depositions? Yeah, oh no, absolutely. Shannon's case involves foul play for sure. And I think that Brewer took her to the doctor's house in the same community and got some sort of medication for her. But the bramble along the road, the thick weeds. In Gilbert's case, I've read some of them. I'm still working on them. I'm really hoping I can get her attorney. Well, the attorney for her estate. See, the one thing about Shannon's case is that Shannon grew up in foster care. She was removed from the home as a young girl and ended up going to school as a foster child with her own siblings who still lived in the home with her mother. And Shannon did nothing but strive to get back in the good graces of her mother. She had a lot of mental problems. She had bipolar, according to the mother. The mother wasn't a great mother, but then when Shannon went missing, Shannon's mother stepped up to the plate and became a force to be reckoned with, pursuing.
Did his sister, kill someone too?
I'm getting there.
Sorry.
So Shannon Gilbert went missing, and her mother was her biggest advocate to get her case investigated. And that's when, during the search for Shannon in that area, that's when the 4 bodies turned up, which none of the 4 were Shannon, but they were called the Gilgo 4. They were all wrapped in burlap, and they all had pretty much the same type of death, according to the coroner's office. It wasn't until months after Shannon was missing for over a year before her body was found. In 2016, I think it was, don't quote me on the year, but Shannon's younger sister, Sarah, also suffered from mental health issues and bipolar, and was off of her meds and was having a mental break, and called her mother, Mary, who was Shannon's mother, who had been in the forefront in the media, not only fighting for Shannon's search to continue, but also helping the actual Gilgo 4 families to stay in the media, because all of these girls were escorts. So law enforcement really wasn't taking their cases serious. They weren't pursuing the searches or tracking down information on when they went missing. So this was a slow rolling case, but Mary Gilbert was Shannon's biggest supporter. But after Shannon's body was found, a couple years later, Shannon's younger sister, Sarah, had a mental break and called her mom to come over to the apartment in which Sarah...
There's body cam footage of it. There's body cam footage. If you haven't seen it, it's crazy.
Sarah stabbed her mother, Mary Gilbert, to death in Sarah's apartment. So this was a horrific event. And now Shannon Gilbert has a estate, which I believe it's the same attorney who represented Mary Gilbert in the case against New York, because Shannon's case wasn't being pursued as part of the Gilgo investigation, which I believe her mother, even though the circumstances weren't the same, it all, according to Mary, she thought it was all connected. I do believe the same attorney is representing the estate of Shannon Gilbert, and they are pursuing a lawsuit against New York for the failures of the department of the investigation of Shannon. They kept putting off the search. They were claiming weather, inclement weather. Then there was a discrepancy over when her remains were found. So Shannon's boyfriend, prior to her death, there was some domestic violence and Shannon's jaw was broken and there was a metal titanium plate put in her chin. So when her remains were found, that was the identifiable marker of it being Shannon, was this titanium plate. But her what is it called? Hybrid bone in her throat was also hyoid. The hyoid bone was broken. But when the state did their preliminary autopsy, that wasn't reported. Shannon's attorney and Shannon's mother pursued a separate autopsy, and that's where that information came out. They believe this was foul play.
Did they get Michael Bottoms to do it?
Huh? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes.
That's the dude who did OJ, who did John Bonet, like a ton of shit. Like that dude he goes on a lot. He's pretty cool.
Yes.
Like he's not afraid to go against the grain and tell people you are wrong.
So I've followed this case since since back when Killing Fields came out. Killing Fields is a movie or a series that involves the Gilgo case and all of the bodies that were found, but I haven't followed it close enough. But I'm starting to be, there's possibly a trial. I don't know how it's ever going to make it to trial. I mean, Rex Heuermann is a fucking idiot if he thinks he's going to plead not guilty and get off on this, because some of these victims' DNA were found in his home, and his wife's DNA via her hair was found on some of the victims. But I don't know if Rex is the perpetrator in all of these bodies that are found. And there are still a lot of missing women from Midtown New York and Long Island that have not been found. So I just think this is a great case to pursue. It's right up my alley with tons and tons of content. And I'm putting together all of the information that I can get my hands on. So if you follow Delphi, I really recommend you follow Gilgo, because there are a lot of similarities, and we're going to see how each case takes its separate turns, because we haven't even had a trial yet. And in New York, as of now, the likelihood of Rex Heuermann's trial being publicized is small to none. But that's why I've turned my PayPal account into just a travel account. So if you're gonna donate to the channel, or you're gonna support the channel, my PayPal account is right at the very top of the comment section. I would rather just save money for travel, whether it be for hearings coming up if the direct appeal in the Delphi case moves forward and there's hearings I want to attend and be there in person to be able to report back to you. I would love down the road, if there is a case in New York for Rex Heuermann's trial, I would love to attend that. If not, Michigan, the Rebecca K. Park case, where she was murdered by her mother and stepfather and her sister.
That is a fucked up case, the most fucked up. I don't even know, like, it's like a freaking family.
It's insane. And if you're interested in learning like in-depth information about that case, go to, it's called Steph's Steph's Case Files on YouTube. Now, Steph's Case Files, she streams live on multiple platforms, one of them being TikTok. And it's hard to kind of follow at first, but Courtney, who is Rebecca Parks' mother, biological mother, not the mother who raised her, she's done interviews on Steph's channel where she's talking about the day that Rebecca went missing. She's giving all of this false narrative. Come to find out, this Courtney, the biological mother, is the murderer of her own daughter and removed she was like 38 weeks. Rebecca was 38 weeks pregnant. And they removed.
The man who impregnated her was the mother's ex-boyfriend.
Yes. Grizzly True Crime has done some deep dives on this recently. But the real deep dive, the real information is on Steph's True Crime channel. So shout out to her, follow her, get caught up on that. But I would love to follow that case. And that trial is not too far. It's far, but it's not too far from Fungi. So I would love to go to Michigan and pick up Fungi and attend that trial if at all possible. So the PayPal account,
for you to stay.
It better not be in the slaughterhouse out back where you showed me.
No, that's the kill shed. And it's not, it's only called that because it looks like a place where Dexter would bring his victims. It's actually what used to be meant for marijuana.
I'm not Dexter.
Well, okay. Well, so you got an option of a barn, a tree house. I can set up a tent. It's actually a really nice tent. Like, no, this tent's amazing. It's like an octagon. It's like it's like a really big, giant tent where you can stand up.
Oh my God.
Sexy.
Never mind. I'm not coming to Michigan.
I have a house.
All right, guys. Well, I'm going to let everybody go. I'm going to go downstairs. We have Stranger Things happening tonight and Chinese food and fireplace.
Oh,
yes, I got fun. And then tomorrow, join me back here and Fungi and Quester at 1:00 for episode 28 of The Vault. So
we're going to be doing things as we do.
Well, all right, Fungi. Love you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Love you guys.
Please share the video, like and subscribe before you go. Please.
Amy, I need you to say a funny word in Quester's accent.
Oh my God. I hate you for this. What?
Say epiphany.
Epiphany. I can't believe you're not having me say, she cracks on me so hard for saying coordinates.
Say it like that. Say it in Gollum's voice. Say coordinates. And those tricksy little coordinates is.
Coordinates.
Is. No, I don't grow marijuana. The old owner of my property did. Allegedly. But yeah.
I wouldn't believe a word she says.
Say coordinates is.
Coordinates is.
Goodbye. We're good now.
Goodbye. Love you guys. Bye. Good night.